Hi guys. Today we have another true crime video, and this video is the solved murder of Tia Sharp. Tia was 12 years old. She was born on June 30th, 2000 in Croydon, London, England. Her mother, Natalie, was fairly young when she had Tia. And Tia and her mother, Natalie, and her grandmother, Christine, were all very close. Tia was described as being confident. She made friends easily. She was quite loud, always laughing and joking and singing. She got good grades in school. However, she had a pretty poor attendance record. When Tia was 2 years old, her mother began dating a man named Stuart Hazel. However, the relationship only lasted a couple of weeks, and Stuart then began to date Tia's grandmother, Christine. And because Stuart and Natalie's relationship was very short, this didn't really cause any tension between Natalie and her mother, Christine. Tia's mother went on to have 2 more kids, 2 boys, and because of how crowded things were at their home, Tia began to spend a lot of time at her grandmother's house, which Stuart was living at the time. And Tia's grandmother worked a lot of overnight shifts, so a lot of the times it would just be Tia and Stuart. On August 2nd, 2012, Tia went to spend a few days with Christine and Stuart. On that evening, Christine was working an overnight shift, and she called to check on things. Stuart told her that everything was good. Tia was playing PlayStation, and Christine could hear her in the background laughing. But when Christine got home the next morning, Stuart said that, actually it wasn't in the morning, it was a little later in the day. Stuart said that Tia had already gone into town to meet up with a friend. And when Tia hadn't made it home by 6 p.m., Christine began to worry. So she called Tia's mother to see if she was with her, but she wasn't. Christine, Natalie, and Stuart then got together and began to drive around to look for her. By 10 p.m., when they hadn't found her, they called the police and went in to fill out a missing persons report. Right away, the police were very interested in Stuart, as he was the last person to see her. Stuart claimed that he spent the morning with Tia. They had breakfast and played PlayStation until about 12, when she left to go to meet her friend. The first steps in the investigation was searching Christine and Stewart's house, since that was the last place that she was seen. Nothing other than her cell phone was found. The next day, the search for Tia became national news. A lot of people came together to search, make t-shirts, posters, but there was no sign of Tia. Tia's uncle then went on TV to make a public appeal. And shortly after, there was 55 sightings of Tia called in, but all were confirmed to not be Tia. Surveillance footage was taken from the shopping center that Tia had supposedly went, and also from along the route that she would have taken from bus stops, but Tia was not seen on any of them. The police decided to search Christine and Stewart's house again and brought along sniffer dogs, and again there was no sign of Tia. Stewart began to become quite frustrated because he felt that they were beginning to treat him as a suspect. He decided to do a TV interview to try and clear his name. And during this interview, he defended himself and begged for Tia's safe return. After the interview, the police hired some body language experts to look over the interview. And they said that his body language was very animated, like he was trying to convince people of the story that he was telling, and it didn't appear to be sincere. He also appeared to overshare details that didn't really have anything to do with the questions that he was being asked, and his story seemed very rehearsed. Because of the suspiciousness of the interview, the police decided to search the house once again. This time, they brought forensic experts to look for blood or Tia's DNA. Christine and Stewart were notified of this search the day before. The morning that the search was to happen, Stewart woke Christine up and told her he was going to the store for a newspaper. When she got up, Christine noticed a very strong smell throughout the house. She searched the house trying to find the source of the smell, but she couldn't find it. When the police arrived, she told the police about the smell, and they sent the forensic team in. The team then followed the smell all the way up to the attic, and it was there, pushed to the corner, where they found 12-year-old Tia's body. Her body was wrapped in a black sheet and garbage bags and taped up very tightly. It was very badly decomposed due to being up there in all that heat for a full week. And they had to identify her through dental records. The police advised against the family seeing Tia in that condition, so her mother and her grandmother never saw her again. Because of the level of decomp, they were unable to find the cause of death, but they believe that she was smothered. At this point, it was hours since Stewart left to go get a newspaper, and he still wasn't home. This instantly made him the only suspect, and the police immediately put out a countrywide search for Stewart, and he was quickly spotted in a store in central London, very drunk. The worker in the store notified the police, but by the time the police got there, he had already gone. They brought in sniffer dogs once again, and they eventually found him under some bushes in a park, still drinking. He was then arrested on suspicion of murder, and Tia's grandmother, Christine, was also arrested. Pretty shortly after, she was released on bail and eventually cleared of having anything to do with Tia's murder. The police did another search of Stewart and Christine's house, and in doing so, they found Tia's clothes in a garbage bag, and they also found an SD card. When Stewart was interviewed, he said that they were playing and Tia fell down the stairs. He said that he was drunk and high, and he passed out moments later after this happened. He said it wasn't until the next morning when he woke up and saw her there at the bottom of the stairs that he realized she was dead, and he decided to hide her body. When the police searched the SD card, they found many pictures of young girls and of Tia herself. There were also videos of Tia sleeping, videos of her putting on lotion. She was completely unaware of what he was doing. During the search, they also found a vibrator, and when they tested it, Tia's blood DNA was found, which proved to the police that the murderer did have a sexual motivation. The very last photo that was on the SD card was of Tia. She was already deceased at the time the photo was taken. Because of how horrible this picture was, I'm not going to describe what I've read through my research. Out of respect for Tia and her family. Stewart's murder trial began in May of 2013. He pled not guilty, but just a few short days after the trial began, Stewart changed his plea from not guilty to guilty. And on May 14th, 2013, Stewart Hazel was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 38 years. He will be 75 years old before he is even eligible for parole, which, in my opinion, he should never be eligible for parole. This was a man that Tia loved, that she looked at like a grandfather, like a friend, and he completely betrayed her. So that's it for this case. If you have any other suggestions of cases that you'd like me to look into, leave them in the comments, or find me on Twitter. My email address is also in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, restful sleep.